guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be reviewing a book that I got for my Christmas. I bought it with some Christmas money that I was sent. So yeah, it's fun. This was also a present. What I've been using in the past few VN playthroughs. Anyway, move you to the side. My notes. Today I'm going to be reviewing Compulsory Games by Robert Aickman, or Aickman. I don't care, honestly, I don't care. This is an NYRB edition, and it's beautiful. The majority of the time when you have an NYRB edition, you know you're getting good fucking shit. You know you're getting a good book. I have 4 of them on my shelves over there. Yeah. Anyway, Aickman was a UK ghost story writer. Basically, sort of like a mix of Alfred Hitchcock and Lovecraft, kind of a combination of the two. Now, from that description and the fact that he's usually considered a strange fiction writer, which is what he calls himself, you may automatically assume that it's very like schlocky and genre fiction, but it's really not. It's really not genre horror fiction at all. It's very methodical and well paced and precise at times. And honestly, beneath all the horror, there's this dry, dark British humor, and I love that because I love British humor so much. Unfortunately, during his life, he seems not to have been as popular as he is after his death. He's basically like a lot of the great authors that we're discovering now. He didn't have a lot of success in life. But if we're going to be talking about some of my favorites in this, I'm not going to be talking about every story in here because that'd be overkill. I'm just talking about some of my favorites. And yeah, it's interesting. A lot of his stories are very dry. They can even be boring. But then by the end, it'll hit you and it'll haunt you. It's really fascinating. A lot of the stories are very dry, and at times goes into some really boring shit. Like I was reading Residence Only, which is a story in there. There were some descriptions of these committees and back and forths that they were going on that I just was like, oh my god, this is really boring. But it really pays off. The payoff is fucking amazing. There's no one like him. No one like Aickman. And how often can you say that about a fucking ghost story? That you read a collection of ghost stories that was original, and you never seen an idea like it before. His stories don't really placate to your desire to be entertained all the time. They actually force you to use some effort to enjoy them. And I love that. It's my type of shit, man. That's my very fucking favorite type of shit. I read that Aickman was influenced by the likes of Freud and Salvador Dali. So basically, psychoanalysis and surrealism kind of mesh through his work and like have this influence on it. It's really fascinating. His stories portray normal life, something basically like normal life, sometimes dry even, but then over the course of the story, gradually reveals this horrifying yet surreal distortion of normal life, time, landscapes, and relationship. And a lot of the times in these stories, it's the omission of things that gets you the most, that makes them scarier than most horror fiction. The omission of details and the omission of things makes it so much more unsettling, and it's hard to explain, but I think I'd liken him to David Lynch, like the literary David Lynch. Although, to be fair, I do call a lot of things Lynchian because it's very, very hard to describe his style. It's very hard to describe that. Um, most his stories operate on his stories operate on this level where there's never any explanation, supernatural or otherwise. They're about the collapse of human systems and how normal life can slowly reveal chaos. It's very interesting. My favorite stories, favorite stories in this are the following compulsory games: Wood, as in like WOD, like wood, and the very last one. I don't remember what was it called. I know one of my favorites is from Just a Song at Twilight, right? My favorites are the following compulsory games: Wood and Just a Song at Twilight. And it's a contest between Wood and the last one for my absolute favorite. But Aickman's horror. No, I should talk a bit more about compulsory games. The very first story, which is also the title, the titular compulsory games. I should talk about that one a bit. Basically, it's about this man whose wife is slowly seduced and taken by this lonely neighbor they have. And his life slowly collapses and he can't understand what's going on or how to fix it. And his wife doesn't seem to like understand what's so wrong, so it has this subtle sense of malice to it. And he this neighbor, it, she's almost like a vampire, like sucking everything that made his life what it was and just leaving him with nothing. But it gets weirder than that because eventually his wife and this neighbor lady, they decide to buy this small airplane. And eventually, by the end of the story, he's being chased around by this pilotless plane, and it's that just that loud sound, and it just gets louder and louder, and no one else seems to be able to notice it. And it's like his life has been upended. And there was a specific line in there. There was a specific line in there that really fucking hit me. And I don't remember what it was, but I'm trying to find it real quick. Okay, I found the quote. I looked through the book a bit and I found it. Basically, it is: after life has begun to run away from us, nothing is ever really credible, nor does it matter. And as I said when I was reading that, and that line, it shot through me like a bullet. That is, that's Eichmann's horror in a nutshell, right there. Uh, Aickman's horror is the collapse of meaning and structure and human systems that we all view life through. We all have some form, like understanding that we see the world through. What happens what happens when that understanding is destroyed, shattered, broken? What happens then? That's Eichmann's horror. And I think it happens to all of us in our lives, whether it be like a breakup or you get fired or someone dies. It's going to happen to everyone. This upheaval of their world, their understanding of it. And yeah, it's truly unsettling. And next, I'm going to talk about the story in here that is. Uh, it's. I'd honestly say that it is my favorite out of all of it. Well, not my favorite. The scariest out of all of them is what I meant to say. It's one of the scariest ones in here. Wood, as in Wood. Wood. It is a deeply, deeply unsettling story about a man. The man is a friend, and his friend kind of makes these dolls out of like straw and brass wire, and he goes over to the post office and he sells them. Basically, this friend marries the daughter of an undertaker, and this daughter is also part of that business. And basically, this man's asked to be his friend, the best man, all that stuff. The wedding is very uneventful. It seems to be very quick and quiet and all that. And later on, he learns that his friend is also going into the undertaking business, and that's interesting. And but so eventually, they basically the wife gets pregnant, and then they move away, and he loses touch of them. But he ends up finding them. He ends up finding the town that they live in now and the house that they live in now, despite trying to avoid it. And he's he goes to the house, goes to the new house that they're living in, and he thinks he thinks he spots them, but the wife she goes back inside, and then he tries. It's a bug. Okay, sorry. That unsettled me for a second, especially with what we're talking about and being reminded of this story. It basically his car won't start, and the wife goes back inside the house, and then his friend, comes back and comes over to him and is like, "Hey, I'll help you fix your car." So they get the hood up and they start working on it. But then the husband disappears as well, and he's like, "What? Where'd he go?" So he walks into their house, and it looks like it's burnt. Like the walls are all black and the windows are broken, and it looks like it's been burnt from, but only the inside, and it's weird. And then he finds this wooden doll. It's like a child carved from wood, and there's a set of handwritten instructions with the doll, and uh, I'm gonna read those to you. I have it marked here. Instructions after a kind, indeed they were, written out in ink and with no punctuation by a hand to me unknown. I read them, and after a considerable pause, brought out my church's notebook from my jacket pocket and copied them down. Here is what I wrote. When the man is sawing wood, watch and wait for falling blood. Blood and sawdust are the same, and Dame Nature is little game. When the woman's blindly scraping, Then's the hour for blows and raping. Within the earth without a sound, that's what makes the world go round. Whatever else you need to know, set the man and woman so. Let them prophesy forever. Curse them once and come back never. That is. That is some of the most phenomenally creepy shit I've ever read. Holy fuck. Um, Yikes. I'm not telling you what he finds after that. You'll have to read it yourself to find that out. What the? Where did these come from? He's just been sitting here this entire time and I didn't even notice they were there. That's neat. 2021, 2022. Sorry. Um, the thing about that little poem thing is that the writing there, the tone of it, is so much more vicious and menacing than the rest of Aickman's stories and writings, and it is believable as a found document in this case, and that makes it very much more disturbing in this context. Um, I would honestly consider that story to be very, very similar to The Wicker Man, 1973, the original Wicker Man with who was it? It was this one famous actor, whatever. Basically, it's very similar to The Wicker Man, and The Wicker Man is one of my favorite fucking horror movies. It's so fucking good. Well, that and Possession. Possession's also really good. Like some really great acting, but whatever. Yeah, the Wicker Man is very similar to Wood, the story, and as I said, it's a tie between that one and the last one, my favorite, and the last one is, um, it's just a song at twilight, just a song at twilight. Um, there's even a story where this character, he's like in this theater and there's a bunch of people around him that are so stiff they could be ghosts. They might be ghosts, and he's watching this show, this presentation on the stage in this theater, and he sees something that is so disturbing that his immediate reaction is to just get the fuck out. But he doesn't tell you what it is. And that is fucking genius, as I said. As I said before, the omission of things is what makes his stories 10 times scarier. And it's honestly really difficult to explain in words what makes them so creepy. It's more than one thing. It's his entire approach to his narrative structure and shit. It's he builds this normal everyday environment. Sometimes it's a bit dry and boring, but it's something believable. And then like somewhere there'll be like a trajectory switch that just throws everything out of alignment, and by the end of the story it's hard to know. It's hard to know where things went wrong. It's hard to explain what caused it, but it definitely happened. Like, he's very smart and methodical and in control of his writing and his stories. He shows restraint until precisely the right moment, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. There's nothing conclusive about his stories whatsoever. You don't know if they're ghosts or whatever. And his ghost story, there's nothing conclusive about his ghost stories. Sometimes you'll read, sometimes it's just the suggestion of a ghost story. Sometimes just the suggestion of it, and by the end, you're not even sure what happened, if there were ghosts or not, and it's brilliant. And Aickman himself had this to say on the subject. The successful ghost story does not close a door and leave inside it still another definition, a still further solution. On the contrary, it must leave the door. It must open a door, preferably where one has had previously note where, preferably where one preferably where no one had previously noticed a door to exist, and at the end, leave it open, or possibly ajar. Fucking brilliant shit here. The okay, so I guess I should describe who should read this. Who should read this stuff? Fans of like gothic horror, fans of Edgar Allan Poe, fans of cerebral, slow horror films, stuff like that, you know. But if you're looking for a quick explanation, you're not going to find one here. If you want that, stick with Lovecraft and his contemporaries. You're not going to find an easy solution with Aickman because there is no explanation. But if you want stories that are a quiet inner dread that is at the same time written really, really well, and while you're reading it, you're like, oh my god, but you're also like, this is really well done, then Aickman is for you. Aickman is for you, Bucko, if that's what you want. And I'm gonna link I'm gonna link an article about Aickman by John Gray and a documentary about Aickman in the description. And I hope, and I'll also leave a link to the book because I want more people to read him, and he's really great. So yeah, thank you for watching. This is my first book review in a while. Yeah. They changed the way that the quarter looks in 2022. It seems. Hmm. I don't like it. Sorry. I'll see you. I'll see you next time.